here from Inky and Scrappy, sharing with you today my new stamp set series featuring Fawn's Furry and Bright stamp set and a few other ones I'm going to pull in there as well. I had picked up the Furry and Bright stamp set to go with that Pawsitive Christmas stamp set that was a freebie back in, I think it was December's release, or was it the release before that? It might have been the fall release. Anyways, stay tuned for giveaway information on that. I ended up pulling it out because my niece was here and she wanted to make a birthday card with puppy dogs on it. And I don't actually own a whole lot of puppy dog stamps. I do have Tim Holtz's Crazy Dogs, like the mini set, and I have a couple of odd ones here and there. And I was like, I don't know. This was the puppy dog one that I have. I have a couple of Fawn sets that I think have puppies in them or dogs in them. But I was like, ooh, I know which one I had. So I had actually picked this one up on purpose because I liked the dogs in it. Not so much that it was a Christmas stamp set, but that the puppies were in, 3 different kind of movement or activities, and so I knew that I could pull in some other stamp sets to make this one work. I will have my color map on my blog if that is something you are interested in. For my Ohuhu bullet nib markers, I actually used my older bullet nibs, so they have, you will see they just have the number on the end. They don't have the R or the E or whatever the color tone is that I'm using. I did update my color chart. I don't know if it's with this set. I don't think it's on this video, but I'll list, or I will post the picture of the color chart that has the newer set of Ohuhu bullet nibs on there, if that is something that you like to follow with. For the most part, I colored in the puppies. I did mostly brown and black and white one. Well, black puppies. They're gray. My coloring skills that day were not the greatest. You know how you have days that just nothing is going quite right? That was like me in this card series. I just struggle bust a lot on this one, which is fine. I think we all have days like that, and just to realize that we have days like that, and it's okay. I still had fun. I still enjoyed it. If it had gotten too frustrating, I'd have probably walked away from it and came back later. But usually I just roll with it and, keep on going. You'll see I struggle bust on this one because I don't do a whole lot of peekaboo pop-up cards. I'm not great at that interactive die yet. I'm still working through the kinks that I have because I'm just not that used to that one yet. So it's, with all those interactives, sometimes it takes us time to learn how to create that feature or to make it work for us. It happens. So anyways, I had pulled out that stamp set to work with, and Faith had wanted to do like birthday cake and cupcakes. She wanted cupcakes and puppies. That was her requirements. And so I was like, okay. So I pulled out all of my other stamp sets that kind of had that birthday cake and or cupcake look to them. So I did pull in a Creature Was Stirring. I think I used some of them for this one. And then I also pulled in the Baked with Love stamp set, as well as that Pawsitive Christmas stamp set. I'm just going to use a sentiment from, I end up only using a sentiment from that one. But if you see on the sheet there how I had stamped the top of the puppy from that Puppy in the Stocking, because I thought it could work well for a cake and or, peeking up and over many of the things. I also do have the Simply Critter stamp set, which Faith used on her card. I did not pull that one in on this card series, but it's one that I want to actually do a card series on because I've had it and I have yet to use it. Actually, I stamped it for the first time when Faith used it on her card. So, yeah. There are all of my images already colored. I don't use them all on this one. So my idea for this one was totally different than what I ended up with, which is fine. I had known that I had colored and cut out enough pieces for probably 2 cards. I was, kind of already planning to do this one as a series when I cut it out. I just hadn't decided how I was going to lay them all out yet. And so it didn't go as planned for my first one, which is fine. That's how life rolls sometimes. And I also had some major struggles with my brother's scan and cut. I was trying to use up scraps of Express It cardstock. I don't like to waste any of my Express It cardstock. And it didn't work very well. Usually I kind of cut them down to put them in the brother scan and cut. Well, I had done some, we'll say some sketchy trying to piece in some of those eggs and stuff on there without really thinking about how the brother scan and cut was going to cut them. And so I had a few difficulties, and I did end up cutting a lot of the eggs out by hand. And then because the first batch didn't go through the greatest, my second batch, I forgot to put the 0.04 border on. So they cut right on the line. It's fine. I said I struggle bust through this card series. It was just one of those, like, I probably should have just walked away for the weekend and called it time for a nap. So I'm going to fold my back piece here and my front piece. So you saw I cut it in my front piece, cut it down so it's kind of like a countertop for this one. So doing a Z fold on each side, doing an opposite Z fold. So you have the back piece and then the front piece. And that peekaboo pop-up piece is going to be on that smaller piece over onto the side. And I do liquid adhesive on these. I don't even bother with the double-sided tape. You'll see why in a little bit here. So for my peekaboo pop-up, I have extra peekaboo arm or the action features already pre-cut and kind of on my desk, so I can use them to kind of gauge where they're going to go, because I'm not great with this one. I do remember that my little arrow needs to point towards my flap, the part that's flapped open. So I do at least remember that part on this one. But yeah, that is a permanent double-sided adhesive on my little tab there, and it keeps falling off. It drives me insane that it doesn't work. And I don't want to do the glue on it until I absolutely have to. I was just trying to figure out placement on this one, where it was going to fall, so I could kind of figure out which mechanism I want. Yes, there's 3 of them. I know that they each kind of have their own positioning. I'm just not great at remembering which one is which. And I don't take the time to go back and watch the video and remember. Maybe if I use this one more, it'll get easier. As with any interactive, the more you use it, the better you get at it. And so this is just one that I need to figure out. So my initial thought was I wanted the puppy popping out from behind the cake. And then I realized, it's probably just not going to work how I want it to work, because it's swishing up and in and not straight up like a pull tab feature. So that's one I'm going to have to probably pull tab in a future video. It wasn't going to work like I wanted it to work. And so I was like, okay, I'll adjust. So the first thing I need to do is get my pop-up piece to come in, and then I'll figure out the rest of the card design. I think for me, this is the best way for me to figure out new interactives, is to get my interactive part working and then actually figure out what I'm going to put on that interactive piece. It's just, yeah, you see? There may have been words with that drop out there, because that was permanent double-sided adhesive there, and it didn't hold. That's why I use glue. So I do end up gluing this in, and I'll work on the other part when I get that far. So I hold it down, make sure that it is glued tight, and then I will add in the glue on the other side. Now you can skip this step until you are sure you have what you want there. For me, I'm just going to commit and hope for the best. Yeah, there we go. it's working. I'm happy. It didn't fall out the bottom. It might be because there's glue there. So I really hadn't decided on what I was doing for my piece here yet. I still kind of wanted that puppy to come up out of the cake. I realized it wasn't going to happen. And so then I was like, well, this little puppy and the frosting bag would kind of be cute popping up out of the under part there. Now with this one, because, you know, I have to adjust it a little bit so it doesn't come out the bottom. I probably shouldn't have glued it right away. Whatever. I just kind of wiggle it off. It's, you know, it does leave some adhesive or some paper behind, but I just strategically place my frosting bag to, you know, cover that up. It's fine. So I do a little bit of fussy cutting here just because I don't want that frosting bag to totally overtake the puppy's arm and leg. I want you to be able to see it. And by cutting off that white, you can see it a little bit better. So I will glue him on there so he is permanent. And then I will use some magnets to hold this open on my magnetic mat. And then I'm going to work on the layout. So I'm going to speed this up because it does take me a while to figure out which pieces I'm using, where I'm going. And because I have the orange frosting bag, I decided I needed all of the orange cupcakes for this one and the orange bowl of frosting. And then of course that puppy that also has orange on him. So I'm just playing with placement a little bit more here. I kind of want to fill in that area, but not entirely, because you do have the fold lines over there, so they kind of have to stay in their, I guess, columns or in between their folds. So that's why I brought in those little bones there. I figure it will at least add a little bit of something that is hidden in the flaps there. And of course, I had that one bone that was like torn in half from the Brother Scan and Cut. So instead of throwing it, I usually tend to use those as going off of the page. I did end up using both halves. I kind of figured I was going to end up throwing them, but they worked on this one. I like to do things off the side so then it looks like the scene continues on as well. I did pop up the puppy with the bowl and then that one cupcake, tucking in the spoon behind the puppy. He abandoned the spoon and went straight for the bowl because that's how I like to lick the frosting, straight out of the bowl. So as I have my scenes all set now, I can go and trim off anything that's overhanging. And then I'm going to bring in that Pawsitively Christmas stamp set for part of my sentiment and all the hats stamp set for the other part of my sentiment. So I'm going to stamp this out on some orange cardstock in VersaFine Onyx Black ink, treated with some anti-static powder, and do the second one at the same time so then I can put some clear embossing powder on those and then heat set them all at once. So for that extra Pawsitively Christmas stamp set that I have lying around, I was planning on doing a giveaway in December for my 1-year YouTube anniversary. And life happened, so I wasn't around a whole lot in December and it didn't get done. So I'm going to do that with the Furry and Bright card series. All you have to do to enter is make sure to comment on all 3 of the card series videos. And if I end up doing a 4th project, which I kind of have some ideas that I want to do yet, I will count an entry on that one if you commented on the first 3. Any comment on that 4th one will get you an extra entry into the drawing. Nobody is responsible for this one but me, and I will ship worldwide. All entries need to be in by March 4th, and I will draw for it on March 5th. Good luck. So for this one, I did cut out my banners from using Lawn Fawn's simple banner dies. And then for that one that's going to be hanging over the side, I ended up deciding it needed a little bit more stability. So I thought about cutting it out with another piece of heavy cardstock and then just layering it. But I had this one laying on my desk, and it actually comes from the All the Hearts garland. Is it the landscape one? And so it fits perfectly in between the stitch lines on it, and I was like, oh, it kind of gives it a little bit of a pop so it sticks out from the other one. I can overlay it a little bit. I liked the overall aesthetic that it gives, and so I ended up using that one because it's on super heavyweight cardstock. So added bonus, I didn't have to run and find a die and paper and cut. So I'm a very much a what's on my desk is usually where I'm going to go first kind of crafter. Yeah. And of course, the magnets were sticking to everything that was metal on my desk. I will trim off the end of that flag there, and then I'm going to add on my background panel to this one. And yes, we're dealing with that late afternoon light again. I promise the sun will behave and I'll be at the farm when the light is in that position fairly soon. So to finish, to tie in the back to the front, I'm just going to use one of those extra bows. And I have a lot of extra pieces, so you will see those in an upcoming card. And there is my little frosting thief as he pops up and out from the background there. I hope you enjoyed this video and have an amazing rest of your day. Good luck on the contest, and I will see you later with another video. Keep getting inky.